Good evening, everyone. This is Danae Seibert, or good morning, depending on where you are. This is Danae Seibert, founder of The Healing Area, and I have a special treat for you. This is a place where we come together with friends and people that we've met along our journey that can inspire us wherever we might find ourselves on our journey. And I want to introduce you to a very dear friend of mine. Her name is Stephanie. And Stephanie, say hi to everybody.
Hi.
She's beautiful. Stephanie, I got to meet you in Mexico, and I would love if you would just share a little bit about who you are, mom, student, with the folks that are watching.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm not anybody spectacular. I have two kids. I have two girls, ages 4 and 8. They're like my everything. They push me to just get up every day and just keep pushing. But I'm a full-time nursing student. I am currently in my last year. Yay, can't wait to graduate. And that's pretty much it. I'm 30 plus fabulous. I'm not gonna say my age. 30 plus fabulous, but I am Haitian native. I'm from Haiti. I came here when I was a little girl. I was raised here in Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm also a veteran. I did 8 years in the Marine Corps, and that's about it.
And there's nothing special about you. That's a lot of special. So we're here. I want to talk a little bit about cancer. And I think the first question I want to ask you is, how did you find out?
It was funny because it was just random. I was in class, I felt a lump under my arm, and I'm like, okay. You know, just like anybody else, I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was like an infection or something that was just ordinary. And I went to the VA and I got a checkup. They gave me antibiotics and it never went away. It actually grew. It got bigger and it started hurting. I started having breast pain. So that's when I went in for a biopsy and they confirmed that it was triple negative cancer at that time. They didn't know the stage until later on.
So what year was this that this happened?
I got diagnosed August of last year, which 2016.
And when did you discover that lump initially?
I discovered it, let me see, I want to say around April, May timeframe. I think more April, because it took them a long time for them to realize that it was just, okay, this is not going away. So it was around April I went to the doctor, and I didn't get a biopsy until early August.
So what's triple negative mean? What?
Triple negative means that my type of breast cancer is resistant to all 3 hormones, progesterone, and the other 2 hormones that I can't even think of. But it's 3 hormones in total. But so it's hormone resistant, meaning that I can't get hormones to treat it. You know.
Oh, so normally breast cancer is treated with hormones?
If it's hormone positive.
Okay.
Because certain people with breast cancer that are hormone positive, that you can get hormone treatments to help it. But my case is triple negative because it tests against all 3 hormones.
So you get this information, and you as a nurse probably intuitively thought, okay, something's up. Do you remember how you felt, what that moment was?
Man, that moment is a moment to really remember. I remember I was with my friend, but it's funny because I kind of knew something was wrong. I kind of knew something was wrong. So I got the call because I was just waiting, and I knew something was wrong because when you get a biopsy and it goes to the pathologist, you know, it comes back, but mine was taking forever, and I'm like, oh man, something is wrong. So finally, when my primary care provider called me from the VA, my friend, she asked me, well, do you want me to just step out? I was like, no. So I went to the bathroom and I was like, okay, just tell me. I already know it's something is wrong, just tell me. And she told me it was high grade. And high grade meaning is very aggressive and it moves fast. So at that moment, like, I felt like I was just paralyzed for a moment. You know how when in the movies something happened and everything paused and you feel like you're just like, no way, this is not happening. That's how I felt. And I just had like adrenaline rush. It was just so much feelings at once that I was feeling that I really didn't know how to feel.
Right. I can understand that better than you know. So from that step, they come at you at, okay, this is what we need to do. What was your next step when you found all this out besides trying to process it all?
Okay, so trying to process it all. My next step, everything moves so fast. And I want to mention everything moves so fast because like, it's like everybody rushes you. So I was called in because of course it was unofficial. It was like, well, we need you to come in into the clinic so we can talk to you. So at that time, they didn't even know it was breast cancer, which was crazy because everybody was crying. And I'm like, why are you guys crying? Why is everybody sad? They didn't know it was breast cancer. They was like, we don't know where it's coming from. I'm like, it has to be breast cancer because it's like under my lymph nodes and my under my left arm. So like automatically, like I knew that it was coming from my breast, but they was like, well, we can't confirm it. We don't know where it's coming from. So that's why everybody was freaking out. So they told me I needed a PET scan, MRI, and fast forward, I got a PET scan. And then of course, you know, the IV dye, because cancer survives off of sugar, the IV dye lit up the cancer cells. And lo and behold, it was in my breast. But prior to that, I had a biopsy done. They did a biopsy in my breast just to confirm because I had a small, tiny lump when I had my mammogram. And they was like, no way this is coming from this small little lump. I'm like, yes way, it can't be coming from anywhere else. So that's when they did a biopsy in my breast. And then 6 o'clock, in my breast, which is like lower, this small little lump, lo and behold, it was coming from there. So that's when everything was confirmed that it was high grade. And after the MRI, of course, they show all of the lumps under your arm. And because it's in my lymph nodes, that's when it's stage 3 because it's in your lymph nodes, and your lymph nodes, like, okay, when stuff get in your lymph nodes, that's when it's spreading. You know, quote unquote, that's what spreads. Yeah, that's not good. So that's when they were saying it's stage 3, you know. So yeah, that's when they confirmed everything.
So then they wanted to. So you're scared, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so, what was their treatment plan? What did they say they wanted to do?
Of course, treatment plan was the regular radiation, chemo, radiation, surgery. And I'm not even gonna lie, I was open to like whatever at that point, because I was scared. I didn't like, I didn't know what to think. So I was open to like whatever my providers were telling me to do. I was just open-minded. And then, so I told them, I was like, well, can we just go and cut it out? Because that was my first thing. Like, okay, this thing is here. Let's go in and take it out, and I'll go on about my life. But because of the results of my MRI, they say that my tumors were too large, that they needed to shrink them. And with chemotherapy and radiation, and then go in and do the surgery. And at that point, that's when I started doing my research, because I didn't want to do like all of that. It was just, well, I'll go back. When I had got diagnosed, I had people in my life that I called and I told them the news. And my brother and my husband at that time, he was like, well, if I were you, I would go and research chemotherapy, because they told me I would need the most aggressive form. So I had did a little bit of research before I saw my surgeon to talk about surgery and everything else, because I spoke to him initially and I was like, yes, I'm open to surgery. Let's take this thing out. So after I did my research, that's when my mindset started changing.
Tell me what you found out about chemo. Now, here you are in your last year of nursing school.
Mm-hmm.
You would think you would go, okay, take me. I'm yours, standard care,
Right.
take me. And not that it doesn't save people.
Mm-hmm.
What did you find, and why did you make the choice that you made to do completely opposite day of what your career would predict?
Right. And I'm glad that you said here I am in nursing school, because it's funny, because I was just studying cancer. We was going through the treatment process, chemotherapy, how it can potentially come through your skin and how to treat that as a nurse. You know, so like this is stuff by the books that I was studying. So like for me to start questioning it, it was just weird. So when I started my research, the first thing I discovered was I remember reading I forgot the website or the doctor I was reading about the chemotherapy, but it was saying the percentage of the success rate of chemotherapy was lower than what everybody else thinks. That's the first thing that I discovered. And I'm like, whoa. So because first and foremost, you never find anything until you go looking for it.
That's right.
Yeah, so because traditionally we learn, okay, person has cancer, chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. That's all we know of. So when you go looking for other stuff, are you still there?
I am. My internet got a little unstable. You're back.
Okay, I thought that was mine. Okay, I'm sorry. So when you go looking, that's when you start finding stuff that kind of veers you to another direction. So I started researching. One of the people that I was like obsessed with was Chris Beats Cancer, and I was looking at his interviews, and I remember seeing a lady that was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, and her cancer had it was spread all in her chest walls, and she did not do any chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery, and she's been cancer free for 10 years. Wow. So I got obsessed with this lady, and I actually emailed her. I'm like, let me see if this is a real person. So I emailed her, and she responded. And I was like, oh, holy crap. Like, wait a minute. So, like, all of that was kind of hard to process. And it was kind of heartbreaking at the same time, and unbelievable that we have other things that we can do. Because she sent me an email confirming that she's a real person. She was like, hi, my name is so-and-so. What's going on, and why are you reaching out? And that's when I told her what was going on, and this was early stage in my journey, and she told me everything about nutrition and how to change everything around my environment as far as toxic wise. So that's when I started questioning my doctors. So all of this happened before my first official appointment, because with the VA, after you have an MRI, it takes a while to get the results. So when I sat down with my oncologist, my surgeon, and it was another oncologist in there, and they were just asking me, okay, what are you gonna do? And that's when I denied everything. And everybody was just looking at me like, what's wrong with you?
You've lost your mind. And then you ended up, so some of the things that when we met, you said to me is that we so often make decisions out of fear.
Yep. When
you're diagnosed, you have time. Whatever stage it is, you have time, especially if it's stage 3. I mean, where can it go? Stage 4? Oh.
Right. And you're absolutely correct. And to me, it's a system where, whether it's intentional or unintentional, like people are rushed into making a decision, and you cannot make a rational decision under pressure. When you can't think straight, you cannot make a rational decision. And I'm not sure why God chose me to question the system, being that I am a nursing student, and I stopped and I questioned it. And for a whole year, here I am, like, they're telling me, okay, you're gonna die within 1 to 2 years. And for a whole year, I was just on my own, changing my diet, taking vitamins and doing like just different stuff. So people do have time. You have time to go home, do your research, and once you're completely comfortable, then make a decision whether you want to do chemotherapy or go the natural route. You have to be comfortable, and you have to make a decision where your mind is clear, because when we're diagnosed with this horrible disease, automatically all we think about is death, you know? And when you have death on your mind, there's no way you can think clear. Because I remember thinking back, I'm looking at my 7-year-old, and I'm like, okay, I had a conversation with her, because this whole time I wasn't telling my kids, you know, and until, like, till this day, they know that mommy going for treatment, but I don't really tell them what's going on because they don't really understand it right now. But I did tell her, I remember having a conversation with her. I was like, if anything ever happened to mommy, I want you to take care of your sister, you know, because my 4-year-old, you know, like, they're attached to each other. And one of them is from my previous relationship. And I'm like, if something happened to me, like, my kids are going to split up. So I had like all these thoughts just running through my head. And sitting here talking to you, like, my mindset is just in a whole different space. I'm calm. I'm like, whatever happens, happens. But I know that I chose this route, and I chose it in a way that my mindset wasn't blurry. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. You are educated. Now, you thought about death a lot.
Yeah.
Last August. I mean, so here we are today. You chose natural treatment. I want you to share with people a little bit about what your daily routine is and the things that you're doing to help you, and where you're at right now.
Okay, so
you look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. And so when I first started, like I said, it was like, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew chemo wasn't for me. I just knew, like, I just listened to my gut, and I'm like, no way. Because I'm the type of person, I react off of any kind of medication, whether it be Tylenol, aspirin. Like, if it has a side effect, I'll be the one that gets the side effect. So I'm like, there's no way that I'm gonna put this thing in my body. And I already knew how chemotherapy works. Like, chemotherapy is a biochemical warfare drug. Like, people that mix chemotherapy have to wear a hazmat suit. So I was like, no way I'm letting this thing come in my body. So when I first started in my journey, it's crazy because you see I have makeup on now. Like, I stopped wearing makeup. I changed my water filter. I went vegan cold turkey. Like, I stopped eating all meat, just everything. And I actually ended up sending my body into shock, because you really can't, you know, you have to give yourself time to adjust. But again, that was out of fear. You know, like, I'm like, oh my God, I can't eat anything. And then when I started reading about sugar, I love chocolate chip cookies. Like, I love chocolate. Oh my goodness, I love chocolate. So I stopped all chocolate, all sugar. So I sent my body into shock. So now, I was vegan for a long time. And then I started adding fish back into my diet, because one of the doctors that I researched from the clinic, he was just saying how, like, to eat wholesome foods, you know?
Right.
Because it's never anything that's too bad for you. Like, if you like sweet and you want to treat yourself with something sweet. Of course, take in consideration that you have this thing going into your body, but it's everything in moderation. So now, like, I do my fruits, my vegetables. I'm still working on my carbs because I know carbs turn into sugar as well. So I try to do a low carb diet. I take vitamins, supplements, of course, and I do the I change my water. I don't drink faucet water, of course. I try to drink alkaline water as much as possible, but if not, purified water, any type of water that's like purified, I do. So I would say I'm more conscious, like, of what I put in my body.
You're like an athlete. I mean, you think yourself as an athlete, and an athlete doesn't run like a boat. Wait,
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what a bad car would be. Maybe, you know, a bad Toyota that's been recalled. But you run your body like a Maserati, and you really, you can't have days off. I mean, I'm sure you do green coffee enemas.
Yeah.
And I want you to briefly share something that you also do that is kind of out of the box. I know you do an injection called Rigvir, and then you do another shot. Is it a shot?
Yeah.
Really talk about that.
Okay, so yeah, my kids are like making noise.
That's okay. They can say hi.
So I do this thing called GC Math, which you know, of course, it's actually natural because your body produces GC Math, and of course, before I decided to start taking it, I do my research. Even with the viral therapy, Rigvir, I did my research on it. But with GC Math, why it's so unique is because a person that's diagnosed with cancer, our immune system doesn't work like a normal person's immune system because everyone has cancerous cells. Why you and me got diagnosed with cancer is because our immune system, some way, somehow, along the journeys of life, got suppressed by something, you know, whether it's stress, the stuff that we eat.
All of it.
Yeah, all of it. Bad relationships. Just everything in general. So what GC Math do is it boosts your immune system by increasing, I want to say increase your, I know for a fact that it has this thing called nagalase levels. And if you go and get your nagalase levels checked, the lower that they get, that means that the cancer is leaving your body.
Okay.
And then like, and people that's diagnosed with cancer have a high nagalase level. And it just basically means that your immune system is suppressed and you have to do things to boost up your immune system. And GC Math boosts up your, math stand for macrophages activating factor. I don't want to like mess up the name.
You don't have to. I like
the
fact that it takes your immune system nagalates. Yeah. They tested all that at the clinic, correct?
Yeah, and your macrophages are part of your immune system, so it boosts it up and it tells your body, look, we have something going on, let's go and kill it. Basically, that's what it does. And it's natural in your body, but people that's diagnosed with cancer, of course, you don't have, like, your immune system is like, it doesn't recognize these cancer cells because cancer cells are so smart that they recruit our own cells to fight against us. And that's how it builds up and grow. The tumors builds up and grow if our immune system does not recognize it. So the treatments like Rigvir, GC Math, B17, vitamin C, ozone, all of that stuff works collectively to boost up our immune system.
So you're doing this protocol. Last August diagnosed. Where are you today? How are you? What's going on with the tumor? I mean, you're here over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
I told you won't be here maybe in 2.
Yep.
And you look beautiful, and I know you feel great. So how are you feeling?
So, for a year, I've just been super person trying to figure out what's going on with my body because my healthcare system dropped me as a patient. So I was left on my own to just figure it out. So, at first I was going to a nearby clinic here in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was just doing high dose vitamin C, ozone, I was taking some B17 as well, but I just knew that I needed an intervention. I was having chest pains probably mid this year. I was having chest pains. I was in one of my classes, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just have to withdraw and check myself into a clinic. And at the same time, I was doing my research on what clinic I wanted to go to because I wanted to go to Mexico, and I heard horror stories, so I wanted to go to the best of the best. So I just researched. I did my research. So I would say right now, before I left the clinic, they told me my immune system is boosting up because they do a lot of blood work just to compare it from when you first came to the clinic and before you leave. But of course, I spent 3 weeks at the clinic. 3 weeks is not enough time to say, okay, I'm cancer free. Right. There's no way, because cancerous cells takes years to form. So going the natural route is a slower process. Just like they told me I needed chemo from 6 months to a year, and if I would have went that route, I don't know what the prognosis would have been, like I could have been dead. I could have still been here, but I know for a fact my quality of life would have been completely different. I know for a fact that it would be. But right now, I feel great. When I went into the clinic, I was having chest pains, like really, really, really bad chest pains. That's why I was like, okay, let me go ahead and go. And now I'm just taking my supplements, just living every day. And I currently have an appointment set up so I could do a thermography, which in Mexico, they call it an ultrasound, but here it's called a thermography. So just so I could see what's going on, which is too soon to say what's going on with my tumors. Like I said, I was doing stuff on my own. Right. But I know I might have had a part to play with as far as like the progression, because I was doing ozone on my own. Well, I wasn't doing it, but I was going to, somebody else was coming to my house and doing it for me. So I knew I was doing things that were good for my body. Right. So somewhere along the line, being diagnosed with a high grade, and high grade means that this thing moves fast. So for a whole year, for my cancer to not have spread for a whole year, I knew I was doing like things to at least prevent growth.
So I remember a dear friend of mine, when I was diagnosed, he said, you know what, you gave yourself this.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to heal yourself with this. And I appreciate that you say it's going to take a while to heal, because we didn't get this way overnight.
Yeah.
Relationships, stress, food. You're back in nursing school.
Yeah.
Applause. You're not thinking about dying anymore.
Nope.
Before we wrap up, and you can get to those wild kids and go love and have a good Friday night, what's your vision for the future for you?
My vision for the future? Oh, I have a big vision. Sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, girl, you're thinking too much. No. But I've always wanted my own clinic, which is funny because being Haitian, like I said, I was born in Haiti, which is a small country, and the poverty level is like ridiculous over there. But just looking at my country, I always knew that I wanted my own clinic. I've always wanted to be a nurse, but now I know I want to go further, and I know that I don't want to stay in the traditional medicine route. I want to own my own clinic. I want to be a practitioner. I'm thinking about being an MD, really, but I'm taking it one day at a time. And as I go through this journey, I want to be able to have an impact on every single person that I come across. That's my goal. beyond just opening my own practice, because I've learned that in this life, it's not all about us. It's not all about us. It's about, like, you live, and you can't live just for you. Like, helping others is so important to me. And I want to be able to educate other people, because a lot of this is based on knowledge and education, because a lot of people don't know better. You know, they make these decisions because those are the only options that they're presented with. So if people are presented with options, look, you have this option, that option, and you get to choose on not an environment of pressure, you know? Like, take your time, choose what you want to do. And quality of life is so important. And one day I want to be that person that holds somebody's hand as they're getting diagnosed. Okay, you have this thing, but it's okay. You're not going to die. Unless you want to die, you're not going to die. Because even with a person that's diagnosed with stage 4, if it's meant for cancer to kill you, then cancer is going to kill you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I want to help people understand that this is just like going to a doctor and the doctor is telling you that you have high blood pressure. Look, this is what you need to do. Exactly. To get on the right track. And if you have the will to survive, you're going to survive.
I think I was going to ask you, has cancer taught you anything? And I think you just beautifully said all of that. And I think to note that it's not going to kill you. And actually, it makes you stronger. I think it makes you a beautiful person. I didn't know you before, but I could only imagine you were not as gorgeous as you are today. There's a light that emanates from you, my little fashionista friend. And you are, I don't want to call it the face of cancer, but people need to see these faces and know that there is a light, not a darkness that comes with it. So is there anything else you want to tell people before we wrap up?
No, just, well, I guess, yes. Just, if you're diagnosed with cancer, do your research. Yes, doctors are wonderful, nurses are wonderful, your families are great, but stop and do your research so you can make a decision for you. Because if you're not here, then you can't fight if you're not here. You have to take care of you first, and you have to shut out everybody else and make that decision for yourself. But also do your research, because not everything a doctor or a nurse tell you is facts or is the truth. Because we only know what we study in books. And me being in nursing school, what the books are telling me to do, I'm not doing. So
the system, and everyone's afraid to look outside of that system, because I really think that cancer is not a fight, it's about healing.
Yep.
And so I want to thank you, Stephanie.
No problem.
The first interview for the healing area and sharing your story. And I'll look forward to a year from now having you back on and sharing your story with the world and letting them know that there's options, that there is life after the big C word.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're going to enjoy those babies. And
Thank you.
And I will talk and maybe see each other in a month or two somewhere warm.
Yes, I have to talk to you about that too.
All right, honey. Have a great weekend, and thank you.
All right, you too.
Tell everybody goodbye.
Bye.